Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie, or Wavy Curly Allie. I am a healthy hair enthusiast, just here sharing my tips and tricks on how to help you love your hair as it is naturally. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about diffusing techniques. I've already done a video on this in the past. However, the formatting is a little bit off, doesn't really fit YouTube. So I wanted to just do an updated version and touch on the diffusing technique that I like to use, Hammock Diffusing. There's a whole separate video on it, but I want to touch on that along with a few others. So today we're going to cover Pixie Diffusing, which is a very standard way of diffusing curls and waves. Hover Diffusing, which is a newer technique that was coined by Mell. The third one I want to touch on is diffusing the lengths of your hair, and then the fourth one I'll just quickly touch on Hammock Diffusing. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, so I have my diffuser. I use the Xtava dryer with the Xtava Black Orchid attachment. This is the dryer that this Black Orchid fits beautifully. This is supposed to be a universal fit, but there are plenty of instances where this just isn't going to fit. Now, I couldn't tell you all of the dryers that this works well with, but you can look up the dimensions, I believe on Amazon, and then determine the dimensions on your dryer. Now, if you really want this and you don't want to buy a new dryer, there is a nice little device called a SnozzlePro that is a little rubber sleeve that you can slide on to your Xtava Black Orchid and get it to attach almost any dryer. So that's a nice little option. If you've already purchased this and it doesn't fit your dryer, check out SnozzlePro. And I'll link all of this below and everything that I'm talking about and using today. So the first technique that I'm going to cover is probably the most common and the most familiar, which is Pixie Diffusing. Essentially, Pixie Diffusing is lifting up sections of your hair and bringing it back down. But you want to be careful on how you do this. So the trick is that you have the diffuser off, you bring it into your hair, then you turn it on, and then before you take it back down, you shut it back off. The reason that you want to do it this way is that you're not blowing your hair around as you're bringing it in and out with the diffuser on. That's going to create a little bit of frizz, and you really don't want that. We're trying to avoid that as much as possible. Diffusing on its own can create frizz, so we're not trying to make this any worse. So I'll just give you an example. I'm going to use my lowest speed setting and my lowest heat setting. You can also use medium heat, which I like to do as well. So the option's really up to you, whatever you're most comfortable with. I have no problem using heat when diffusing if you're being smart about it, essentially. So I'm actually even going to start on medium heat because why not? So I'm going to bring this up to my hair in a section, and typically I'm upside down for volume at the root, but for the sake of showing you, I'm standing up so I can project my voice into the camera. Anyway, so you have your hair collected into the diffuser. I'm going to turn it on my lowest speed setting and medium heat. I might leave it on for 10, 15, 20 seconds. Then before I finish, I'm going to click it down to the lowest heat setting, the cool setting, just to kind of set the shape of the hair. You're probably going to have to do this around your head several times for your hair to completely dry, but always hit it with a cool shot before you're finished. So I'll give you an example. Shut it off, and then bring it down and grab a different section of hair. So you can grab it like that. You can also lift sections of your hair to make sure you're really getting in there. I always recommend drying the root first and then working through your lengths to get the most volume out of your hair. So that is Pixie Diffusing. Now the second one I want to talk about is Hover Diffusing. This one again was coined by Mell. I will tag her below so you can check out her page. You're really just hovering over your hair with the diffuser, typically using high speed and high heat. Now, the diffuser is far enough away that the heat really shouldn't cause any damage to your hair. If you're uncomfortable with this, click it down one, but I don't mind it. I use high speed and high heat. I also do this when Hammock Diffusing, so again, I'm really not afraid to use heat on my hair. So that's what I'm going to do, high heat, high speed. I'm going to show you essentially what hover diffusing is. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll give you a demo. shut it off. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward. You're hovering over your hair, again, focusing on drying the roots first and then working through the lengths to the ends. Now, that is hover diffusing, again, coined by Mell. All right, the next diffusing technique I want to talk about, it's drying your lengths. So oftentimes, especially with long hair, it's really easy to get the roots dry, and that's what you're focusing on first, and then the ends can dry pretty fast because it tends to be the most damaged. It's seen the most environmental factors and treatments. If you're doing color treatments with your hair still like I am, it just tends to be the most damaged, so it can dry pretty easy. Typically. I don't like to heavily focus on them as I know it's going to dry. What my problem tends to be is that the lengths of my hair, this midsection, stays wet for a really long time. It takes the longest to dry. So what I like to do is rest my hair in the bowl. So this is one option if you're trying to get the length of your hair to dry a little quicker. I target it specifically. So I'm going to flip my hair back forward. Okay, and then you can go in just like this. Again, highest heat setting I might do is medium heat, and then hit it with a cool shot when it's done. So you can do it this way. Again, put your hair in the diffuser, then turn it on, and then shut it off before you move your hair. You can also kind of hold the diffuser on an angle and put your hair into the diffuser on an angle. This will help shape the ends, so you are targeting your ends here, but it does, because it's sitting a little more flat, focus on that middle section. So I'll just give you a quick demo. I'm going to do medium heat on a low speed setting. So I hit it with a cool shot before I shut it off, then I shut it off, and then I remove it from my hair. So you can do that in different sections of your hair as you feel it needs to dry. You also might have different porosities in your hair. So my hair up behind my ear back here, it doesn't have as much color on it. So it is much more of my natural hair. So it is a lower porosity versus the bleach spots in my hair. So sometimes you need to mix up some of these techniques. I like to hover a little bit behind my ear. I like to pixie diffuse right at the end if I have a couple of stubborn spots, or again, hit those middle sections. Again, as you're getting near the end of your hair drying and you're getting frustrated with it, you kind of start to do everything, and that's okay, whatever works for you. Now the last one I'm just going to quickly touch on, because I have a whole video covering this, is hammock diffusing. So with hammock diffusing, you rest the diffuser on a surface, typically a table or a counter, and you collect your hair into a cotton t-shirt or a towel, microfiber towel or a cotton towel. I prefer cotton because it's less porous or fibrous. I'm not really sure to say. It causes less friction in your hair because it is a softer material. So I like to use cotton just to hold my hair. I will show you. I'm going to set this on a counter, which you really can't see, but I have it just sitting on the counter, and I am going to pick up my towel, show you how I collect my hair in here. So I essentially just flip my hair forward, and I collect my hair in the towel like this. I focus on drying my roots first, so I stand in front of my diffuser like this. You can put it on a higher up surface if you don't want to bend over as much. If your counter is down here, you're going to be hunched over a little bit if you put it on a higher surface. I've even heard people putting their diffusers, if they have a towel rack on their wall, they can wedge it in there so the diffuser is all the way up here and they can just kind of stand in front of it. Again, it's nice because this is a pretty heavy dryer, the dryer that I use. So it's nice to be able to set it down. So again, hair flipped forward, and I rest it in this little kind of hammock looking thing. So the reason I like to do this is because it coils my hair up into the towel when it's wet, and it helps shape my ends. Because my hair is longer and the weight of the water pulling down the length of my hair makes my ends get really straggly and straight, and I don't like that. I also want the weight lifted off of my hair, so it gives my root more of an opportunity to curl up. I really like having long hair, and sometimes I do want a little more texture near the root, and this is a really nice way for me to achieve it. This works wonderfully for me, which is why I choose this diffusing method. But that's an option. Now, if you have shorter hair, sometimes getting the back of your hair is not so easy because it is a little bit shorter, so you're kind of tipped all the way upside down. You can flip your hair all the way to one side when doing this and collect it into this little hammock and just kind of hold it on an angle in front of the diffuser. So that's it. That is hammock diffusing. Again, if you want to see a specific full demo on it, I have a whole separate video in my channel called Hammock Diffusing. The last little tip I'm going to give you, kind of a bonus to this video. After you've gone through all of this drying and you've tried a little bit of each diffusing technique, or you use one in particular, you want to make sure your hair is 100% dry before you break the cast. If you break the cast before it's 100% dry, it can get frizzy. Now, some people do like to break their cast while they're diffusing because it helps it dry faster. By breaking that hard shell of product that's formed around your strand, which I'm referring to as the cast, you're making your hair a little bit more susceptible to blowing around. So I like to let my hair dry 100% before breaking this cast. But sometimes if you've been using heat, when styling, it can be a little deceiving if your hair is dry because you'll feel the heat and think your hair is dry. So a little technique that I've been using for a very long time is the pinch test. You essentially take your fingers, or a couple fingers, whatever, and you just stick them in your hair and pinch. By doing this, you'll actually feel the moisture between your strands that you might not otherwise feel just touching the surface. So get in there, pinch, it doesn't break up your curl clumps, and I can tell I have some sections right up here behind my ears where my porosity is lower, that's still wet. So I'm gonna go back through, hit that with some harder diffusing. I'm probably just gonna go through quickly, Pixie a little bit, and then hit my mid length. So I'm gonna do that and we'll see what it looks like when we're done.